Adnan Syed, the man made famous by the Serial podcast, has been freed from jail. But is he innocent of the crime he was accused of? That's what we're going to look at in this video from Never a Truer Word. Welcome to the channel. This is where we look at the words that people choose to use and get under the surface of them and see if we can detect whether people are being truthful or whether they are telling lies. If you're interested in the principles that we use, there are a couple of books available which talk in more detail about them, and they can also help you out in your life if you're interested in working out whether people are being deceptive in their words or whether they're being truthful towards you in your words. You could find these books helpful. So let's look at Adnan Syed. And the podcast Serial looked at the murder of Heyman Lee, and Adnan was the man convicted of that murder. The Serial podcast, it did an excellent job of highlighting the legal and procedural issues with the case, but ultimately, at the end of the podcast series, they couldn't provide the ultimate answer of whether Syed was the murderer or not. But Syed spoke in the podcast from prison many times, and the words he used are highly informative. So let's have a look at them, and let's see if we can get a bit more behind whether he killed Heyman Lee or not by looking at his words. These are the first words that we hear from Adnan in the Serial podcast. He says, "I just sometimes wish they could look into my brain and see how I really felt about her. And no matter what anyone else would say, they would see, man, this guy had no ill will toward her. Whatever the motivation is to kill someone, it didn't exist in me. You know what I mean? No one can ever say why. People could say why, oh man, he was mad this, that, or the other. But no one could ever come with any type of proof or anecdote or anything to ever say that I was ever mad at her, that I was ever angry with her, that I ever threatened her. That's the only thing I can really hold on to. That is like my only firm handhold in this whole thing, that no one's ever been able to prove it. No one has ever been able to provide any shred of evidence that I had anything but friendship toward her, like love and respect for her. That's, at the end of the day, man, the only thing I can ever say is, man, I had no reason to kill her." The whole vibe in this opening salvo from Adnan is, it wasn't me. But he doesn't say that once. Have a look at the words on the screen. He doesn't once say, it wasn't me. I am not a murderer. I did not kill Heyman Lee. I am an innocent man. All Adnan can say is that there's no proof or no evidence, or no one can say the reason. Whatever the reason is, no one can say the reason that I didn't kill her. That's what we call a distant denial or a non-denial. There is no denial in there. There's a lot of word salad. There's a big word dump. It's not very clear sometimes because he's got double negatives or slightly flawed logic going on. Let's look at it individually. Let's look at that bottom bit there. Whatever the motivation is to kill someone, it didn't exist in me. You know what I mean? No one can ever say why. Now here Adnan claims that he both does not know what a motivation would be to kill someone, because he says whatever the motivation is to kill someone, it didn't exist in me. So he says doesn't know what the motivation is. He only knows it didn't exist inside him. Can both be true? I suspect there's a more revealing line in here. No one can ever say why. That doesn't mean that you're not a murderer. That just means no one can ever say why. We've all done things on the spur of the moment or slightly irrational, and quite often these things will turn out to be the wrong thing to have done, and we'll say, I don't know why I did that, or no one can say why I did that. It's not a denial. There's distance in there. Have a look at this bit. People could say why, oh man, he was mad this, that, or the other, but no one could ever come up with any type of proof or anecdote or anything to ever say that I was ever mad at her, that I was ever angry with her, that I ever threatened her. These are, again, really, really weak. Look at it closely. Adnan does not deny that he was angry with her. He does not deny that he was mad at her. He does not deny threatening her. He merely says no one could ever come up with any type of proof or anecdote that these things happened. In other words, they could have happened. In Adnan's own words, these things could have happened. There's just no proof that these things happen. And look at this bit at the bottom. It gives me the chills. There's only one thing I can really hold on to. That's like my only firm handhold in this whole thing. Heyman Lee was killed by manual strangulation. And these words sent a bit of a chill to me. The only thing I can hold on to, my only firm handhold in this whole thing. Now, this doesn't prove he's a murderer. These words don't magically reveal he's a murderer, but I'm really interested in why he chose those words to use, why those handhold, why having a grip of something is in his mind to mention. No one has ever been able to provide any shred of evidence that I had anything but friendship toward her, like love and respect for her. And again, we just see the same thing here. There's no shred of evidence. And look at it. Look how this is phrased. It's not, I had nothing but friendship towards her and love and respect for her. But there's no shred of evidence that I had anything but that. He just says that no one has any shred of evidence I had anything but friendship towards her, like love and respect for her. It could be, again, that he had other things than friendship, that he hated her, that he didn't respect her. There's just no evidence of these things happening. And yeah, I really don't like it. He's so distant. He does seem to want to be denying, or give the impression that he's denying something, but he's denying nothing other than the fact that there is no evidence, then there is no proof there at all. He doesn't come straight out and say, I am not a murderer. I did not kill Hae Min Lee. If you're getting something out of this video, then please feel free to share it on social media if you want. Please like it as well so more people can find it. I'd be really interested to know what you think in the comments below. Feel free to take part then. And if you want more videos like this, subscribe. I may do another one on Serial, by the way. So if you want to make sure that you get that, then please hit the subscribe button too. Here's some more from Adnan. That's kind of, in my mind, like, man, what was it about me? And I'm fine with it now. It is what it is. When I was younger, I used to wonder about it a lot. Like, golly, what was it about me as a person? What was it about me that a person could think that it would be different if there was a videotape of me doing it, or if there was like, hey, fought back, and there was all this stuff of me, like DNA, scratchies, stuff like that. You know, like someone saw me leaving with Hae that day. Like 3 people saw me leaving with her, or like she said, yeah, me and Adnan are going here, like told 5 people. But I mean, just on the strength of me being arrested, I used to lose sleep about that. Like, what the heck was it about me, you know, that people, not just random people who knew me, knew Hae intimately, saw us on a daily basis, just boom. That used to really devastate me, kind of. You know what I'm saying? That used to really just strike me to my core. And got some questions on his word choice here. He said it used to devastate me, kind of. So it didn't really devastate him. This is, again, weakness in his language. Then again, it's not saying I didn't do it. It's saying that why would people think that I would do it? These are 2 completely different things. He's trying to get across, I loved her, so why would I kill her? People kill people they love. It does happen. People kill people they respect. It does happen. It's just because you love someone, that doesn't mean you could not have killed them. The only thing that means you could not have killed them is not killing them, frankly. At the very bottom there, he says, it just strikes me to my core. I've got some more violence in the language, like the firm handhold, the strike me to my core. And then, what is it about this evidence? If there was a videotape, if Hae fought back, if there was DNA, scratches, stuff like that, why is he introducing the concept that these things could exist? I know there is no videotape. I know there is no DNA evidence that I know of. I know there was no scratches. But it shouldn't enter into his mind that these things could exist. It's almost like, see, he knows it's possible. But he's saying that if there was a videotape of me doing it, there is no videotape of me doing it because I didn't do it. There are no scratches on me because I didn't do it. But he doesn't ever say I didn't do it. He just says if these things came to light, and they don't exist, Adnan, you know they don't exist. So why are you not stronger on this? And Hae fought back. Hae fought back from what? I found that really interesting. What concept is in your mind that Hae fought back from? if nothing happened, if you never saw Hay the day that she was murdered, why would the concept of Hay fighting back come in? Again, Adnan, I don't really like the language that you've used here. He's asked by the host, Sarah Koenig, just like, what is it about me that would allow someone to even entertain the possibility that I could do this? Is that the thing? And Adnan says, I mean, when you really think about it, they didn't just say that me and Hay got into a fight, boom, and this happened. They're saying that I plotted and planned and kept my true intentions hidden. I mean, just some real devious, cruel, like Hitler type stuff. You know what I mean? There's just some like cruel, like inhuman type stuff. Like, wow, man, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that I was a great person or anything, but I don't think I ever displayed any tendencies like that. The same pattern is going on here, that there's no denial. It's a non-denial. And again, he talks about, they're saying that I plotted and planned and kept my true intentions hidden. It was really cruel stuff. He doesn't even say that didn't happen. He's just repeating what people say. He's not saying that these things did not happen again. I'm interested. He's asked a yes or no question at the very end. Is that the thing? And he doesn't ever say yes and no. He just goes into this prepared thoughts again, which is like, there is no evidence that this happened. More violent language. Remember, Hay fought back in the previous one. Now, me and Hay got into a fight. Boom, again, is an explosive word. So, again, there's some language choices he's making that could reveal his true personality. At the very end here, he says, I don't think I ever displayed any tendencies like that. He doesn't say, I didn't have any tendencies like that, or I don't have any tendencies like that. Only that he didn't display those tendencies. Again, I've got a feeling of hiding, of hiddenness from his words, that he doesn't ever say, I didn't have these things didn't happen. What he's saying is, no one knew about them. No one's got any proof that these things existed. Again, I think the true Adnan character is entirely possible that he has kept it hidden. The next set of words I want to look at are when the Serial podcast reveals to him that potentially someone who could back up his alibi has come forward. And he doesn't sound delighted when he's told this. And he's asked, why don't you sound delighted? And he replies, I mean, on a personal level, I'm happy because in a sense, I'm not making this up. And at least, if nothing else, it's kind of like at least someone other than Rabia knows that this did take place. And I should be really clear here that this did take place is not the murder. This did take place is the meeting in the library, which was the alibi that this person seemed to confirm. Adnan continues, anything that can kind of support what I'm saying to be the truth, that I didn't do this, is great. But from a legal perspective, it's like, I wish she could have came to this realization maybe like a year and a half ago. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like, it's too late. I'm sorry. I definitely appreciate it. And I definitely kind of hear the elation in your voice. But now I feel like I punctured your balloon. Okay, an alibi. Someone to back up his alibi has come forward, and he says, in a sense, I'm not making this up. Why qualify it within a sense? Why not say, this person says proves I'm telling the truth, or this person says, it's in a sense, I'm not making this up, just in a sense. And again, he talks in the negative. I'm not making this up, rather than I'm being truthful. And then he says, at least someone other than Rabia knows this did take place. Well, you know, Adnan, so already, in your words anyway, someone else than Rabia knows this did take place. I'm interested in why you thought that Rabia was, until now, the only person that knows that this did take place. He does say here, anything that can kind of support what I'm saying, just kind of, anything that can kind of support, not just that can support what I'm saying to be the truth, that I didn't do this, is great. And those words there, I didn't do this, I have combed the Serial transcripts and looked at Adnan's words, and this is the closest thing I can find to a denial. I didn't do this. But look at the context around it. It's only anything that can support what I'm saying that I didn't do this is great. It's not that I didn't do this. It's qualified. It's qualified by the fact that something's come forward to support this, and it's what I'm saying to be the truth rather than what is the truth. It's I'm saying to be the truth. Anything that can come and support the truth is great. So he does say there, I didn't do this. He doesn't say I didn't murder Hae Min Lee or I'm not a murderer or anything that supports my innocence. It's again in the negative that I didn't do this. But that's the closest thing that he does have from to a denial there. But as you can see, it's qualified. It's only what I'm saying to be the truth. Again, it's weak. It's distant again. And then at the very end there, I punctured your balloon. I'm getting a little bit, again, violent language. I punctured your balloon. So what have we got in conclusion? Well, like I said, I've combed the transcripts of the Serial podcast and looked at Adnan's words. There's no direct denial that they've used in the podcast. I understand that Adnan has spoken many more words than were broadcast in the podcast, but in that podcast, when he's spoken for hours and they've chosen, I guess, the most interesting, most revealing bits of audio that they have from Adnan, there's not one direct denial in that podcast. The nearest is that I'm saying I didn't do this. I will never, ever castigate someone for one misspeak or just messing up their words or using one weak concept. But when there are lots of them, when they are repeated, I wonder why those words are being used rather than something more direct, rather than something more straightforward. And Adnan here, what he goes on about is not I didn't do it, but what he keeps repeating is no one can say why and no one has any evidence. And also I picked up on quite a bit of violent language, firm handhold, puncture, boom, fight. I'll give him some benefit of the doubt. At the time of this interview, he'd been in prison for more than 10 years. Maybe evidence is what is playing on his mind these days. Maybe the prison environment is something that will evoke violent language in someone. However, while it's beyond doubt that the authorities botched the investigation into Hae Min Lee's murder, it's beyond doubt that the legal process has been horrible to Adnan and he was not treated with the fairness that he deserved. And it's beyond doubt he should not have served so much time in jail based on all of that. It's a miscarriage of justice. It's clearly not a fair trial, not a fair process. I don't think his innocence is beyond doubt. He doesn't deny it. He seems open to the fact that there potentially could be evidence somewhere. It just hasn't been brought forward yet, or it's all hidden away. All his thoughts and feelings are hidden and no one can say what those thoughts and feelings that he had inside were. So I would need to hear a lot more from Adnan before I would be convinced of his innocence. The words in the Serial podcast certainly don't. If you enjoyed that, neveratruerword.com is a website where you'll see more on true crime and people in the news and the words that they use, where we try and understand the deception that could be beneath them. The Linktree address on your screen and is also in the description below is where you can join in on social media and get involved, comment or get in touch. And what word should we look at next? Well, Adnan was a lot of the evidence against him was from his one-time friend, a guy called Jay. And I've had a look at some of his words. And initially, there's some interesting things in there. Is Jay telling the truth about Adnan? If you would like me to look at them, let me know in the comments, and we may do another video soon. Or the social media is there as well. And we could, if you want, let me know if we should look at Jay's words around the Adnan Syed case. We'll see you for another video soon on Never a Truer Word.